All right. My name is Brad McCusker. I'm here to talk about DFU. Oh boy, why isn't this working? It was. Yeah, we're gonna just gotta use that button. Yeah, so we're here to talk about DFU. Before I get started, I do want to acknowledge Norm Lastovica, who did a tremendous amount of work on the product, and also, but more importantly, did a lot of work on these slides. So I just, in fairness, need to acknowledge Norm. My style of presenting really works well with interaction, so please feel free to stop me and ask questions, and I'm sure Norm will do his best to answer them for you. What is DFU? So DFU is disk and file utilities. It's a utility for performing disk and volume maintenance. It augments some existing utilities and does a lot of things that native VMS utilities don't do. So I think that most people are using it or taking advantage of things that you can't do with DCL, but a lot of things that even you can do with DCL, it does it a lot faster for you. DFU came out of digital equipment. It was a skunkworks project by some folks in the Netherlands in Utrecht. A gentleman by the name of Tom Dorland wrote it mostly to begin with. When Tom left digital, or maybe it was Compaq or whatever at the time, Jur Vandenberg took over. Jur has been kind of the keeper of the product since then. And he has his own website that's not part of Digital Compaq HP or anyone else that he had been providing updates on. As it turns out, Tom Dorland was someone who worked closely with me in the PathWorks group for many years. And I got to know him very well. And at some point in time, I approached Tom because Jur wasn't doing a whole lot of updates. And we needed it to do some things for us to help us do our jobs and the services that we provide. So I approached Tom about the source code, and he agreed to share it with us, or agreed to tell Jur to share it with us. We added a lot of bug fixes, added a lot of enhancements, and just continue to kind of move forward with it. Today, we actually provide a DFU version 3.5, I think it says there, to the community. Runs on Alpha, I64, and x86. And oh, by the way, it was really x86 that became the driver for us to make it publicly available. And we'll get to that maybe next slide. Yeah, so it was when we took it to x86 that it became very clear, other people are really going to want this as x86 rolls out. So we talked again with Jur and Tom and got the okay to start distributing it. And Jur really hadn't been doing anything with it in many years, and I don't think he had any intention of porting it to x86. So it's freeware, freely downloaded, used, provided as is without any warranties. Okay, a lot of this is real standard stuff, but a couple things I just want to make sure we're clear. It remains the intellectual property of Software Concepts International and the predecessor authors, Jur and Tom. The source code is not available. Okay, it never has been, and we don't intend to make it available now. The support is limited to non-existent, right? If you see problems, if you'd like enhancements, you can send mail to dfu@sciinc.com. They may or may not get corrected. And the bottom line is that Software Concepts, SCI, our company, is really not responsible for anything. Use it on your own. As I said, if you have any problems or enhancement requests, send mail there. We do appreciate, the feedback. We have, since we've gone public with it, we have received bug reports. We fixed things. We've received some enhancement requests that we've added into it. If you have more specific needs, talk to us. Let us know. So here's some of the primary functions. Some things that just simply are not available at native. Other things that you see, DFU perhaps does it a lot faster. One of the things that DFU is doing is it's looking at files in the index file, right? So it's not doing typical DCL operations. It's reading and manipulating within the index file to do its work, which makes it a lot faster. And we'll show you some of those sorts of examples as we go forward here. And then there's things like reversion there halfway down that is not something DCL does. Undelete to recover deleted files. So things like that are not available with DCL, DFU does provide. Like I said, a lot of what we do works right on the index file. Search really is one of the more powerful pieces of DFU, and it's with the extension onto that DFU search command. There's a lot of things you can do. But there's a lot of ways to start with that you can search for files, right? And that's where it starts, is various ways to search for files to start generating a list to then do stuff with. And I'll show you some more of that as we go. So there's an output command or an append command, so you can take your search results and append it or add it to a file. You can sort your output. You can use different things to manipulate how the output's going to look if you want to create a file. You can return a lot of information or not a lot of information. You can limit the number. Some search commands may find tens of thousands of files, so you maybe don't want to see all of that. Where it starts to get really powerful is things like the format command. So when you use that with output, what it does is allows you to start to generate commands to do something else. Okay, so on the first major bullet there, where I've got that command, what you would be doing is you'd be searching for perhaps temp files, putting the output into the format of delete/confirm and then file name. And that would be going into some command file that then you could choose to execute. Another thing you can do is just skip the command file and just do the action. So you would do /action equals delete on a command similar to one above. And again, I'll show you this. And you'd be able to just right away search for these files and delete them as you find them. So here's an example. You would do search for, I guess we're doing temp files. It's finding those files. That's what the output you're seeing there is. DFU is telling you that it's finding these files and what it found. And then because I did output equals del.com, if I look at what's in del.com, you'll see the delete commands. So you could then do a quick review of that if you wanted to, make sure those are all things you want to delete, and then execute it and delete those files. Or you could do the action, as I said there, show there, and that would just go ahead and delete those files for you as it went. You'll notice it says sorting there when it's executing in this manner. And I'll show you this example just to make it more clear. This is deleting a bunch of files. But if you look at that closely, you'll notice it's doing it in reverse alphabetical order. So it's deleting from the bottom of the directory, which makes things much faster, especially if you're dealing with very big directories. So this helps to make this process a lot faster. So I'll just do a quick demo of search. This is where we see how it goes here. All right, so I've got a this one. This is okay. So this is actually kind of a real example I had. I needed to find a deck set installation kit that someone had put onto our cluster, but I didn't know where they put it. And I also couldn't get a hold of the person to find out. So I had to find it. So what I did is just, did a directory command to go off and find that, right? So if we execute that, if I could type, we could execute it. All right, so it's going off in that disk and looking for that file. And it's taking a while, and I'm already getting bored. So we're going to stop. But with DFU, what I could do is a command like you see there. Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can't make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Maybe not. That would be a DFU search command. So if I execute that, done it right away, done. Okay. And that's because it's going straight to the index file. That's a really good example of how quickly this helps you find things. And now if you combine that with some of the other things I've shown, like action equals delete or putting output into a file, this becomes really helpful when it comes to file system maintenance and doing various tasks. All right, now let's see if I can get back to my presentation. Reversion is another tool. This is one that I know a lot of people have written their own little tools to deal with, and some haven't, just wish they had. So basically just helps you deal with files that have grown to that high version number and you need to reset them. This is something we use a lot in our management services. I think it's fairly straightforward what we're doing. I think everyone understands what we're doing here. Delete gives you the ability to delete complete directories and trees rapidly. Again, that's not something that's native to DCL. You can also delete by fit if you want to do that. I think this is an example, yeah. So it's just showing an example. You have a directory, a subdirectory with a file in it, and then you could do your DFU command to delete that, and sure enough, it's gone. The directory is gone. And I think the next one is just an example of a tree. So again, we've got a directory, it's got a file, it's got a subdirectory. We do a directory tree on that test directory, goes through and delete stuff, and same thing when we're all done, it's gone. So that's very convenient for those that don't have their own tool to do that. So directory files sometimes get to be very large, especially if they're very active. You can get holes in them in the storage. So compress helps with that. You can use the directory command to find files with a high number of versions. So you've got maybe a log file that's not getting cleaned up. It'll help you find that sort of thing. Search for directories with too many files. Somebody's just being sloppy and accumulating way too many files, or empty directories. So again, these are all maintenance things that really helps you out if you really want to try and take care of your directories and file systems. Just an example of compress. You can see it. Some of the directory files were compressed rather substantially. Looking for directories with high numbers of files. Another powerful tool is the report tool. So this runs against the volume, provides you with a lot of information about the volume. Also creates DCL symbols that you could then use in other command in the rest of your command procedure if you want to do that. Show you just an example of the output from that. 3 screens here to capture all the output, but you can see it kind of gives you some basic information to start with. And then from there, gets a little bit more detailed, telling you things about fragmentation, contiguous files, that sort of thing. Most fragmented files on there. So this is a good way to just kind of keep an eye on various volumes. And then all of that information is dumped into symbols that if you want to write a procedure to do further work, you can take advantage of. And these are things that we use in providing our services. This is how a lot of this stuff ended up getting generated. Set modifies various file characteristics, some of which are available at DCL, a lot of them are not. So again, this just kind of gives you access to being able to manipulate things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. Some coming features are actually, this presentation was from the October Bootcamp, so a lot of the stuff is out there, but a few things are going to come real soon. So the fast I/O functionality, right? This is a really powerful tool if you have or frequent dealing with large files or even doing volume copies. It basically takes advantage of VMS's fast I/O system services. It just allows you to do things much quicker. Like a large copy file, like what I'm showing right here is, I think it's DFU. DFU at the top. What it's doing is a copy of a file called Big File. Big File is actually a 10 gigabyte file. And if you compare the elapsed time, there's quite a bit of difference in how long DFU took to do it versus how long DCL took. And then also you look at the direct I/O, a lot less DIO coming out of DFU. It's using bigger buffers and things like that. So it just becomes a much faster way to do things. Fast I/O writes kind of the same thing. Copy device is where it could get to be really interesting, doing a physical replication of a device, but more importantly, able to do it fairly quickly. This is something that we use when we're dealing with, perhaps setting up new file systems and new disks and things like that. Do to all is another really powerful management tool extension that we added. Basically, it allows you to perform operations on many disks at one time, and it does it in parallel operations. So I'll give you another example of that. Well, here, this is just an example. You want to delete all the 10 files on your file system. It would be a command along those lines. So really what you're doing is, if you do to all disks, search the device and then file, the whole command. Again, I'll show you a quick demo. It's going to be similar to the same problem that we had before. When I was searching for that deck set kit before, I was searching on a specific volume. But if I didn't know where it was, then what I would do is search all of my directories, right? So I've had for years this little routine or variation on this that basically loops through all of the disks on the machine and does something. Right. So in this case, it's doing, you look at right near the bottom, it's doing a directory from MFD all the way down, looking for that deck set kit. Okay. If I execute this now, it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to get bored real quick, but we'll show you. Right. So it's going to start working its way through disks, and I'm getting old and bored. I don't want to do that. So I'll show you the search DFU version of this. Come on. Just one command, basically saying do to all disks, search for Dexit 1300 kit. So now if I do this command, getting a lot of output there, but basically it's gone through all of the disks on the machine, and it found the files that I wanted to, and it did it in faster than I could imagine. So that's where the power of this thing starts to really kick in. All right, so we do have a new release coming out. It's got some things in it. I thought I actually had that slide before this. As far as when the new release coming out, how about today? basically, as soon as our colleagues on the East Coast of the US wake up and get to work, they're going to push the button to release a new version. Some of the things that are in there is some fixes to undelete. Actually, in October, at this session, somebody started asking to see how undelete worked, and they basically exposed some bugs and it didn't work. But we fixed that now. A few other bug fixes and things like that. Taking advantage of hypersort now. A couple other updates, things along those lines. How you get it? You go to that website. Request a download link. We'll email that to you. So that means you do need to send us your email or give us your email. We promise you that we don't sell your email or any of that information. We're not going to spam you. There is a tick box to give us the okay to send you email. We send a couple of emails a year, one of which would probably be for updates to to announce updates to the kit. But we also send when we learn about this boot camp, for example, we send out a note to our customer list for boot camp and things along those lines. But it's a few a year at best. We're really good engineers. We're not very good marketers, so we're not out there spamming you and stuff. So it'd be to your advantage to let us send you mail. I don't know if this is on the next slide, but I'll say it. I know a lot of folks in here are consultants. We ask that if you're providing this to one of your customers, that's okay. We just ask that you download it and identify that it's for a customer. In other words, we'd rather not have the customers downloading a copy and then distributing it all over the place on their own. Please distribute it to your clients through our website, please. Norm insisted I put this in there, but it's good business. I mean, it's good practice anyways. Please make sure your systems are updated with latest patches. DFU actually has exposed, various flaws that have been fixed by BSI. So you're going to want to make sure you're as current as possible with patches. And that's it. You guys have been a really quiet group. In October, there was a lot of questions, a lot of interaction. This was afternoon. I'd say you guys are ready. Yes.
Any behavioral difference you have seen between the running x86 versus x86?
Well, that's a good question.
So the question was, have we seen any differences with DFU?
Yeah, specifically.
There is two differences that I'm aware of, but they have nothing to do with x86. It's 9.2, and Andy Goldstein realized there was this very, very subtle. So Camille talked about how a whole bunch of things that we wanted to do and changed in VMS that had been there for 30 years. Well, one of them was something that did work, and it had to do with accessing a file header. I think it was for read only, but specifying the write back bit or something like that. Something along those lines. No longer was permitted. And it was illogical to begin with, but it always worked. And I think it was the ignore equals interlock with write access. Anyways, so DFU stopped working on one particular example of one command and report the problem to BSI. And then Andy Goldstein writes back. He's like, explains why what he is doing now is correct. Been correct for 30 years in my eyes. Now it's so anyways, yes, there's a very subtle difference. And I try very hard to hide that, that difference. Beyond that, what's on disk is the same. Like really, yeah, it better be. There's really no differences. Yeah. So DFU doesn't know the difference. DFU knows a lot of things that is not documented, or at least not like in the normal documentation set.
It hasn't been changed.
Yeah, it hasn't been changed in forever, and they could never change it because of break. So yeah, we're doing bad things, but we're not going to get caught. What else?
Yeah.
I have another one for the undelete. is it smart enough to detect high water mark and just
Who set you up for that question? So my colleague at breakfast this morning was very disappointed to find out that the disc he uses for this demo is mounted no high water, or is mounted high water mark,
Erase on delete.
and or erase on delete, yeah,
High
anyways.
water are probably not an issue. But
High water tends not to be as much of a problem, so that only happens during allocation and extension, but erase on delete was a problem. And he complained about it. What do you want me to do? You told me to erase the file when it was deleted, so yeah, it does the right thing.
Yeah.
So
you were still able to reprogram?
No.
Okay.
It would defeat the purpose if I could.
No, you can cover the header, but you get back.
Yeah, I can probably tell you what the file name might have been. And again, the undelete tries very hard to find what you deleted. It can fail. I mean, if you deleted something and Christian comes along and creates something, he might have used those same logs. Maybe not,
Yeah,
but we don't know. So yeah, it's better than nothing, and you might as well try instead of going to your backup and restore. But we'll do what we can. The search command, search command is where all of the power is. I can search for all the temporary files created before yesterday in a second. Read the index file, you're done. If you had to traverse all your directory trees, right, it would take forever. So that's a real powerful feature. Due to all disks, it's tough to demonstrate how cool that is, but I've got customers with 200 mounted volumes, and I need to find a command procedure that they changed, that I know that they changed recently, but I have no idea where it is. And so I just do to all disks, and then a DCL command, DFU search star.com/create since yesterday. And in 10 seconds, I had 32, I think, subprocesses running at once. So I'm searching 32 disks in parallel to find the one command procedure that they were. So there's a lot of things to play with here. And maybe even if you don't take advantage of like the repair command, which is like analyze disk, but it does different things in a different way. And even if you don't do that, the search makes a big difference. And to reinforce what Brad said, the slowest possible way to copy a file from one disk to another on your VMS system is with the copy command. Almost anything else that you do is going to be faster. The fast copy is probably about as fast as you could possibly do. So give that a try, especially if you've got files that are more than a couple hundred megabytes. Take an appreciable amount of time. It'll be somewhere between 2 and 10 times faster. Well, yeah, but so yeah, I mean, give it a shot if you don't. I think you'll be pleased.
And if you're not, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Consider your objection.
Any other comments, thoughts? Anyone gonna go?
How many people currently use DFU or where the session?
Couple people.
Can't tell you what version. Some really old version.
Gotta download the new one.
Yeah, no, it's written down. Go download it. Many for undelete.
That's the
You
address.
could,
It's undelete mainly.
Yes,
Yeah.
but underlays pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis.
Is there a file?
There is a defragment.
Okay,
Absolutely.
did I miss that? Where you hit it?
It was in a list. I didn't, it was in a list of what's there. I didn't expound upon it all,
Okay.
but it's defrag. Absolutely. You want to say something?
No, I mean, yes, there is defrag, and you can defragment a file. You've got the log files, got 18,000 fragments, so you can defrag that. At great personal risk, you've also got defragment volume. My personal risk, not yours. And it tries to do the right thing. Find files that are fragmented, push them around so they're not compress the space, and then take the free space and move things around more. I'm not promising it's perfect. It's very, very fast. So you get 99% for the cost of 20%. The last 1%, not so much.
You know, we use it probably at almost all of our customer sites. Like that's what we're using. So, and for those who don't know, Software Concepts International, CI, we manage systems for people around the world. We solve that problem of my system manager retired or is gone or what have you. And we also do the same thing for databases, RDB and Codicil. So as part of our services, you know, defragging disk or staying on top of disk fragmentation, file fragmentation, we use that at probably almost all our customers. And it works. Knock on wood, no problems.
Like finding and reporting, solving goofy things that customers have on their
Yeah.
volumes.
Exactly.
Those few for instance. I was gonna say, Norm, you know, when you were trying to find that comp file, the customer change recently, why didn't you just ask them?
He did, and they said they didn't change anything.
You might have a customer that changed.
Read their logbook.
You know what the answer is.
Anything else? Any other thoughts? Well, that's all I have. Feel free to download it or watch a little bit later today. Or tomorrow. By tomorrow, certainly the newest version will be up there. Go ahead and download it and give it a spin, see how you like it, and you know, start to incorporate it into your management of your systems and things. So I think once you start to use it, you'll really, you know, you're going to find different things that work really well for you. Wish I had that before. All right, thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you.